Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video, another topic. As ever, I'd love to hear your thoughts. This is specifically for dyslexics, as it's Dyslexia Awareness Month, or people with learning disabilities generally, like A.D.H.D, possibly autism or whatnot, who want to get involved, or family members or whatnot. But yeah, basically, as I mentioned, just like with the Black community for Black History Month, in this case, I would love to connect with my fellow dyslexics, and like, I suppose, simple way of putting it is like have a podcast where I interview people, a very informal podcast. Not sure if you would really class it as a podcast or not, but I think a podcast is where they interview people, right? And a shout out to my dyslexic bro, not my actual brother, but my dyslexic bro, as in fellow dyslexic, if you like. If I remember his name, Sean Douglas, I think his name is, who does the Codpast, which is a dyslexic. The Codpast, which is a dyslexic podcast. Obviously, it's a play on words. I think it's a deliberately misspelt word for dyslexia, but he talks a lot about dyslexic people, like famous dyslexics, dyslexic sports stars, and all that kind of thing. If I could connect with him, I think it'd be great, or other people on my friend list or whatever. If people spread the word out there, so please share this with any dyslexics you know, or people who want to know about dyslexia or whatever. But actually, really, mainly who I would like to talk to are my fellow dyslexics, preferably even like dyslexic people who are like successful in their job. But really, dyslexics from all backgrounds. Some might be unemployed, some might be involved in, I don't agree with crime, but some might be like trying to improve their life. They might be involved in crime, or they might be former criminals. I was going to say people who are like in prison who have dyslexia, but I suppose those in prison who have dyslexia wouldn't be able to. Maybe I could work with the prison system or whatnot if it's in a safe environment. Obviously, I'm not the toughest guy, so and I'm a bit of a wuss, so I wouldn't want to put myself in any danger. But if it is people who are like in prison, but it's, as I say, in a safe environment where they think we can pretty much guarantee your safety and stuff like that. Basically, it's to try and empower dyslexics really, and to help them to improve their lives, to improve their careers, to turn away from crime, and that sort of thing. But yeah, also to hear from different dyslexic people's opinions. As I say, those who are unemployed, like myself. To be honest, I'm unemployed myself, unfortunately. Although I don't really want a traditional job or a 9 to 5, I just want to grow my channel enough. Sorry for the plug. But yeah, but basically, yeah, we could support each other's projects or things like that. But I'd definitely love to get dyslexic people out of crime. I think the government and local governments and politicians around the world really should try and help that initiative, because it actually would cut so much costs in terms of crime, how much it costs economies around the world. If we can get dyslexic people out of crime and help them to become more productive members of society, at least law-abiding citizens, and preferably to have like some form of career, and maybe even like, as I talked before, about like helping each other on YouTube and things like that. So yeah, we could become self-sufficient at least, and even getting people off with dyslexia to not have to rely on benefits or things like that. That would save the government lots of money as well. Here in the UK or any other government around the world, I'm sure you could cut crime and you could cut benefits. You could actually, for those countries who have benefits, and I think many countries do now around the world, you can actually save the government a lot of money. And I think it is good to be productive if you can. That's why I made a YouTube channel. Being out of work, I thought it's one of the reasons why I made a YouTube channel is like to become financially independent. I was discussing with someone about becoming financially independent, and they were saying like money isn't everything, but that wasn't the point I was trying to raise. As I was trying to explain, like, I think that like, to me, financially independent means you don't commit crimes, you don't rely on other people being forced to give you money. I suppose they want to give you money. I mean, everyone has to rely on someone, like either a wage or a customers, or whatever. Or even, like politicians, they rely on a salary, or anyone else, pretty much. Obviously, unless you're unemployed or commit crimes, you pretty much have to get money from somewhere. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, what I was saying about being financially independent, it's not like being a millionaire or being a billionaire. I'm just talking about like having enough money so you don't have to beg or steal or take people's money by force Other than that, as a libertarian, those are things that are important to me. But I was thinking also about, I hope to mention this before I forget my point, but I was talking about like the 3 dyslexic sharks and the 3 dyslexic dragons. And basically in the UK, the Dragon's Den, 3 members, I think 1 at the moment, but 2 former members as well, or actually 3 former members, all have dyslexia. Duncan Bannatyne, Peter Jones, Theo Fetis, and Kelly Hoppen. So that's actually 4, I suppose. In America, it's also 3, I would say 3 sharks who have dyslexia: Kevin O'Leary, Damon John, and Barbara Corcoran. Sorry. So if I could, I'd love to connect with them and interview them and like talk about how they can inspire dyslexics. I know they've mentioned being dyslexic, like all of them have, but I think it'd be great if they made like, I was thinking like a book called The 3 Dyslexics and 3 Sharks, or something like that, and or even The 4 Dyslexics and 3 Sharks, or whatever. There could be like different versions. That could be part 2 or whatever, and each chapter could be written by a different person. For instance, I don't know, the foreword could be written by Theo Fetis or whatever, and then Peter Jones could have a chapter, Damon John could have a chapter, and so on and so forth. So like, they're inspiring people with dyslexia, talking about how they overcame dyslexia. I know, especially Damon John, Kevin O'Leary, and people like that, they've talked about being dyslexic and how, I mean, Kevin O'Leary says it might be a superpower and things like that. So I know they've already done that a little bit, but I think it'd be great to have a specific like book, quite an irony, I know, or even websites, or a website, perhaps preferable to have one. But there could be a series of books. I think with a website, it'd be better to have one place where people could go to, a YouTube channel which they could make. And so that's an idea that they could perhaps work on, which might even benefit them in the long run as well, because other dyslexics might want to support their projects even more, maybe, I don't know, or at least it's raising their profile, so it could have knock-on effects. Excuse me. My stomach's rumbling for some reason, making weird noises, I don't know. Anyway, but it could have a knock-on effect to say, like, people will find out more about them as well, maybe even have more of a connection to them, or know that they overcame difficulties and were not born with a silver spoon in the mouth, so they might be able to connect with them more. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you think about these ideas, such as this one. I know I've got loads of them, so I'm going to try and wrap it up because I don't want the video to be too long. People's attention spans are not long enough to last for my waffling on. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you think about the idea of 3 dyslexic sharks and the 3 dyslexic dragons, or 4 dyslexic dragons even, having a series of books. Like, one could be the 3 dyslexic sharks and the 3 dyslexic dragons, the other one could be the 3 dyslexic sharks and the 4 dyslexic dragons, or whatever. That could be like part 2, and there could be like board games, different games that could help to inspire young dyslexic people, which is what that idea is mainly about. Like, not even just myself, as I already know these people have dyslexia, but it's even like inspiring young dyslexic people, like maybe 6 or 7 years old, in a classroom. I mean, the books would be hard for them. Maybe the parents would read to them, or someone who they know who can read. But like the YouTube channel, perhaps if they have a YouTube channel, or the website, or things like that, which they can see visually and hear and listen to, and maybe audiobooks or things like that could help them. Like when I was at school, I'm sure if I heard about famous dyslexics and successful dyslexics, I'm sure I'd be a lot more inspired. But also, I think even my friends, even my peers, would be like, my classmates and all that, would be like, probably not really look at me in such a negative way. Perhaps they'd be like, oh, this guy could be like Richard Branson, or like all these people I talk about. I'd love to interview people like Richard Branson as well. That'd be pretty cool. Like another dyslexic guy has done, but I forgot his name, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, maybe also they could talk about like having problems when they grew up, so it shows that they had to overcome problems, and it, as I say, they weren't born with a silver spoon in the mouth and things like that. But I'd love to hear, like, from dyslexics, like, would that sort of stuff inspire you, and what do you think of videos like this? And again, if you're interested in taking part, please post in the comments, or if you know my Facebook or email address. As I said before in my previous video, I don't know if I should share that publicly, but if you do know me on Facebook, or we can find my Facebook, I suppose my Facebook would be quite easy to find. It's Michael K. Shenton. But yeah, you can send me an email if you know my email address, or you can post on Facebook, or you can post in the comments. And I am out. Peace out.